The views and opinions expressed on Deliberately Linked are entirely those of the host, who are completely responsible for all show content. These views and opinions are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure in any way any kind of condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or personal practice. Nor is the information presented deemed to be accurate or verifiable.
What is up, Deliberately Linked viewers? Lace them up and lock it in, because on today's show, we're going to talk about a topic that is really relevant in today's news.
It'd be considered mainstream.
Whistleblower.
Yeah, mainstream.
It is. It's going on right now, guys, and I believe this is going to be a podcast that a lot of you guys are listening to years on years and years from now. My kids, maybe down the road, be listening to this podcast. So right now in, I guess American history, there is impeachment getting thrown around right now in the White House.
Well, everybody's jockeying for position. We've got the 2020 election coming up, so everybody's trying to make their strong moves. But before we go, though, why don't you be a whistleblower and tell us about Visionary Meals?
Let me let you know. Visionary Meals, a healthy meal prep product, guys, coming to you guys locally grown and raised. Big news again for Visionary Meals. We just now launched, actually today. So you guys will be hearing this next week. So it is now live. Today, we just launched a Korean fried chicken keto dish, guys. This dish will help you fall into that ketosis stage, guys, staying on top of that keto diet lifestyle, if that is for you, along with a wide variety of different options, guys, to cater to whatever your needs might be, guys. This dish is fantastic. It's going to please those palates as far as hitting the spice taste buds, guys, but not being too spicy, where all you want to do is just keep digging in and diving in for more.
And we're venturing out, expanding,
yes.
Yeah, expanding, which is exciting. Expansion means growth.
Yeah, actually, I myself just got back from Chicago with a business partner of mine named Steven. We love
Steven, by the way. So Steven, as you're listening, I know you're smiling right now, your big old beautiful grill.
Yeah, Steven, you're still ugly though. So, we went to Chicago. We are trying to figure out a better way. I might have touched on this with you guys already, but to package our product to get it to you nationwide. So we went to this big expo of meat products, meat producing, whatever, packaging, whatever it might be. I'll be honest, if you told me a year ago that I'd be stepping foot into a building like that, I'd say you're crazy. Because I walked in, I was like, what the heck am I doing here?
Yeah.
But it was overwhelming at first, but Steven and I, we gathered our thoughts, we brought our composure, and we had a fantastic time learning a lot. And I think we found just the machine for you guys. So stay tuned on that. For our individuals that are nationwide that we learned a couple shows ago, Texas, West Virginia, Florida, maybe Vegas, wherever they might be, guys, this product's coming to you because I know we've got some inquiries about it.
Do you know why?
Tuned. Yes, brother.
Because your best ability is availability.
That's a fact, man. That
applies to every area in life. So entrepreneurs, if you're hearing that, if you want to make it, you got to make sure that your ability is to be available.
Yeah.
Consumers want to be able to have your product, and they also don't have to work too hard to get it.
Yeah, I mean, why have one of the best products out there and people can't get their hands on it?
Yeah, it's like teasing.
Yeah, and we believe we are teasing right now.
Yeah,
I actually get a ton of messages, hand over fist, of, oh my gosh, your food looks so good. When are you going to send this to Florida? Wherever that might be.
Because I'm telling you, it is as good as it looks. That's a fact. Yeah, that is a fact.
It's no reason people are screaming Visionary Meals take over, because it is taking over the industry.
Yeah,
so
it's awesome.
Exciting
That's good stuff. So that was an example of being a whistleblower.
That's it there.
No, I mean, on a serious note, this show's never been political platformed by any means. But we also know that there's a lot of people right now who are probably asking themselves a lot of questions,
right?
Especially with everything that's going on, and you're getting it from different facets, whether it's your social media news standpoints, or whether you're getting it from actual television news or newspapers, whatever. This is all you guys are hearing.
Yeah.
But our focus today is more so on how you got here from the stance of a whistleblower.
Right.
Historically, whistleblowing has been around for a long time. It's kind of changed definitions a little bit. Mm-hmm. And I think for a large generation, they probably all remember the Nixon, the whole Watergate thing.
For sure, yep.
In the early 70s.
Yeah.
But really, it's not. I don't think our focus today is going to be on the actual incident that's being blown up.
Not at all.
I think it's the act of being a whistleblower that we want to focus on today.
Yeah, for sure. So just before we get moving forward, guys, with whistleblower, for some of you that might be questioning, okay, what does that exactly mean? So by definition, a whistleblower is a person who exposes secretive information or activity that is deemed illegal, unethical, or not correct within a private or public organization.
In which that can apply to, from professional standpoints, to personal relationships.
Yeah.
So anywhere that applies, and I think there's some good lessons that can come from that.
No doubt. Yeah, I think, like Mark was kind of touching back, like the term whistleblower actually dates back to the 19th century. Actually,
Yeah.
I mean, the word was actually linked, to alert the public or crowd of a bad situation, such as
I think over across the pond,
yeah, across the pond.
they talk about the
do.
coppers who use whistles.
They probably, I think they still do to date.
I think they do use whistles.
But that's just used to be breaking up crimes or whatever it might be. But I think the other fascinating part, at least, was it was obviously attached to law enforcement, like we know, but it also relates back to like sports and referees who use whistles to indicate an illegal or foul play. So
which
they were
once
also
again
called
applies
whistleblowers.
to what we're talking about. It's like a rule breaker, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not the incident. It's more so the action of that person, that individual. I think currently we live in a society that, unfortunately, there's a lot of unethical and immoral things that happen daily. And it's just when someone decides to stand up and say, I've had enough. Or in certain cases, it's when they get enough pressure from one side or the other to stand up and say, we've had enough.
Right.
And I think those are areas that all of us need to be aware of. Need to take a look at maybe some of our own surroundings.
For sure.
And decide, how am I living my life, or how am I being responsible in my own circle.
Okay.
And sometimes I think being a whistleblower probably has a negative connotation.
Yeah, it does.
Like in my house, the kids always, they call each other snitches.
Snitch, snake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we grew up snitches get stitches. I mean, that's how we grew up. But I think there's a time where we've crossed this line. I don't know when it happened, but we've crossed a line that there's such a negative connotation on bringing the truth to the surface that, you become this snitch or snake. But the reality of it is where does the health outweigh the negativity?
For sure.
When are you going to do something that is overall better for everybody?
Well, yeah, there comes a time and place where you have to step up.
Yeah.
Not only for the betterment of yourself, but usually probably for the betterment of that person specifically, or an organization that you might be a part of, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like I said, I think we've crossed that to where people are just willing to ignore it,
right?
Because they don't want to take the heat that comes along with it.
Correct.
But in the long run, I think everybody just suffers for that.
Yeah, it becomes a snowball effect.
It does.
I mean, because one problem after another, and I think a lot of it's driven out of fear. Individuals fear the repercussions, that can come from it. But I also believe there's a time and place for it too.
No, I absolutely believe it's appropriate. I mean, there are certain things that are definitely minimal, and I think you can let go with a wash, and that person will get what they get, or that organization will get what they get in time. But there's a time where so many people are affected, the potential damage is just catastrophic, and someone's got to have the courage to stand up and say enough is enough.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So, okay. Why talk about this, guys? Obviously, other than it is, very relevant right now in our current news right now, where it's 2019, where it's October right now, October of 2019. So right now, if you guys are listening to this down the road, so Trump is our president right now. So there are supposedly he's getting accused. Well, not supposedly, he is getting accused of conversation he was having with the Ukrainian president. Basically, it involved Trump trying to dig into, I think,
Biden.
Was it Biden or
Yeah,
Pence?
it was after Biden, because
Okay.
Biden's son was a part of a couple business organizations and
Yes.
such. Yeah.
So in efforts to pressure Ukrainian's leaders. So because Biden's was it Biden? I thought it was Pence.
No,
Okay,
Biden was the vice president before Pence.
Okay,
Biden
so-
was Obama's
Biden,
vice president.
one of them, their son worked for
Correct.
Ukrainian, like some in the fuel or something in the gas. Or,
Correct.
But Trump was basically pressuring Ukrainians
To do an investigation.
to try to get some dirt.
Yeah.
Obviously coming up on the upcoming election, to obviously put himself
Well,
in a bit
supposedly
better position.
Trump had already heard that there was dirt. He just didn't have proof of the dirt. So he was in his mind, he's thinking, well, if anybody's gonna have dirt, it's in the area in which the dirt would be found.
Right.
So
Yeah, so
which I don't know all the presidential rules or unwritten rules, but I guess you're not supposed to do that. But I'll never be the American president. So.
Yeah, I guess it is a big no-no. I don't know the details of it as well. All I do know is just some brief, understanding and research of it is, I think after the phone call, they kind of realized like, oh crap, if people got their hands on this, this is going to look really, really bad.
Yeah.
So what they tried to do was they took the evidence of that phone call over because it's public history in a sense, and they said, hey, we need to put this in classified information. And that's what they did, trying to hopefully hide it, because I think this happened back in July, at least the phone call did. And then I guess the whistleblower was a CIA agent. They have obviously revealed his name, because what's interesting about whistleblowing, as we're on topic here, there's actually protection rights put in for people that whistleblow.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm assuming I didn't look into the details of what those protection rights are, but one of the protection rights, I would imagine, is protecting who the whistleblower is, obviously. But it did come out; it is some CIA agent that blew. Whatever, hogwash. Not here to really have a political debate or discussion as far as that, but we're more so here. How is this relevant to the day-to-day life that we live? And in times, it is right to whistleblow.
Yeah.
And almost being careful also to really who you put yourself around.
Yeah. Oh, what I think about a couple areas, but I think of our listeners. So I know we have a lot of family-oriented people that listen to this show, and I know we have a lot of entrepreneurs that listen to the show. So our entrepreneurs, this is pertinent information to you, because in running your company, you want to run your company to the highest ethical standards.
Correct.
And you want to surround yourself with the highest ethical standards. So you need to think about that.
Right.
But even as family, me myself with the family, there are times that you're going to be put in an uncomfortable position, especially as your children get older. And just a real quick story, it came to my wife and I's attention, this has been a while ago, that a girl we had watched growing up had been struggling with, bulimia.
Okay.
And I don't know if people understand this. Bulimia can lead to death.
For sure.
I mean, it can be very serious.
No doubt.
When my wife and I were discussing it, one of our children's like, "Oh yeah, I knew about that about a year ago." And I just told her, I said, "Look, I'm not going to scold you or get angry with you.
Right.
But you need to understand there's a time and a place where you come to an adult and say, hey, X, Y, and Z, they're struggling, and this is what's going on," because that is serious.
So this individual had bulimia but wasn't coming out about it, only a select few.
Correct. And I'm like, that's something you should have told us, because if we could have told our parents, we could have hoped that they got help earlier than being in the situation they are in now.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're talking about whistleblower on a whole nother national level.
Correct.
But the reality is, in your own private life, I mean, it's something like that could have been prevented.
For sure.
If you were just had the courage, because I didn't want to, ruin my friend's trust over what?
Yeah.
If they would have died, and that's what I told her. I said, so if she would have died, then you'd have been okay because you knew, but you didn't break her trust.
Right.
Because it's something very serious. So there are times and places where you have to place health or ethical standards above the situation you're in.
Yeah, I mean that stuff. You're right, because it does have to go out the window as far as what you're afraid of. Because
it does.
I get it. On a daily basis, if there is something that you have to whistleblow about, whether you should report it or decide if you should not report it. I think the question is a lot of times, why don't you or why don't we, as a society? And I think a lot of things that could come to mind of what we're maybe scared of at those times. And the example that you just gave is completely different scale. And there never should be a question or whether you should or you should not do it. I get it in the technical definition of obviously whistleblower.
Sure.
I mean, you do have to be scared of retaliation. You have to be scared of whether if it's in the workforce, demotions, threats, or even job loss.
Yeah.
But I think getting outside of still staying in the realm of whistleblowing and just stepping outside the circle a little bit. Like you said, there are times and places where it is super, super important that you step up. And even if you're afraid of retaliation or demotions or threats or job loss, or even on a lesser scale, losing a friend or having rumors, being spread about you.
Blown up on social media.
Think about, you have to sit back and assess the situation. Think about how you can make a change in it. And I think there's situations that we probably all have dealt with or will deal with or dealing with on a daily basis. And right now, as you hear this or listen, just kind of ponder and think about, like, man, was there a situation a week ago, a month ago, or going on right now that, maybe if I intervened, I could have made a difference? And if I stepped up and said something? Because I think this goes back into our topic that we did a little while ago on sex trafficking.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're not sure. I guess you are. I guess if you were to speak up, maybe if it's in a brothel or whatever it might be, and speak up, you are speaking up about unethical things.
Yeah.
And speaking up and not living in fear of not speaking up, because if you do speak up, think about what might just happen positively.
Well, and here's the thing. You might take the initial blow.
Right.
I mean, if you're an individual listening to this, you have to be prepared to say, I know that I'm probably going to take the initial blow. Mm-hmm. And maybe this person never shows you their gratitude. That's okay. But deep down, you at least can say, I did what was right.
Right.
I did what was right. And we talked about that when we talked about sex trafficking. We talked about the exploitation. We talked about the many different layers that come with that onion, so to speak.
Yeah.
You may be that person that goes over and offers your help, and then you just get, whether it's, verbally abused or, whatever it is, maybe you even get shoved to get out of it, whatever.
Right.
But at least you can say at that point in time, I did what I could.
Right.
Because I think the feeling of going away and then wondering, or maybe reading the newspaper and seeing a young lady or a young man who has been assaulted, or seeing someone that you knew information about had passed away,
yeah,
or even worse, because of their actions, somebody else was injured.
Right.
That's a much heavier weight to carry.
For sure. Yeah, no, guys, and I understand a lot of you guys could be sitting here listening to this, whether you're driving on the road, in the workout, in the office, whatever it might be, and listening to everything that we're saying. You're like, okay, guys, you're sharing a lot of common sense stuff. Like, we know this. That is true, but I think we could also sit back and agree that, yeah, we're hearing stuff that we all know, but none of us take action in it.
No.
And that's simply, guys, okay, pausing the show. That's simply what this show is designed for, guys, is to encourage you guys to learn and have that confidence to take action in things like this. And if you want to consider Mark and I as your little pep talk, as far as like, hey guys, these things are occurring on a day-to-day basis.
Every day, everywhere.
Yeah. We got to be better as a society, and to step up when it's our time.
Well, we're to the point where, as humans, we're happy standing on the sideline.
Yeah.
I mean, we're so happy to stand on the sideline and let somebody else go out and do it. And I don't understand that mindset. And I know that's probably just you and I, and the background we come from. We're doers.
Right.
But I think we're all designed to be doers.
For sure.
And, we want to sit here and complain, and we want to point fingers. But when do we stop and look ourselves in the mirror and say, what am I doing to make a difference? And we've talked about that on that show, saying if you just control your circle, if you control your circle and everybody else controlled all their circles, and then you get that nice wave effect going and everybody's doing it, then you're going to see dramatic change. If you think that voting in the right president or voting in the right political leaders or surrounding yourself with other people who are strong and bold is going to solve problems, you're wrong.
Right.
Because all they're going to do is solve their own problems, and everybody else can still be stuck with theirs.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean, so you got to be willing to step out.
For sure.
You have to be willing to step out. And it could be with perfect strangers. I mean, if you see something, you got to react, you got to respond. And like we touched base too, if you are a business owner or you're working for a business owner and you see something that is not right, your thought process has got to move beyond the office, and it's got to move on to who your consumer is.
For sure. No
because
doubt.
There's thousands of people being affected.
Correct. Yeah, Mark. Well, Mark, I think about it as we share this information, as you all listen to this information, I think of it as, what kind of footprint are we all going to leave?
Yeah.
What kind of footprint are we going to leave? Because I do it myself. I'm very guys. I'm open book about this as well. Like I will see things and probably walking away from that situation. Hey, I should have intervened, or hey, I should have said something. Now, like I said, there is a time and place. That doesn't mean you need to be nosy and go put your nose in everything. But
I think your inner clock though goes off when it's something you know.
Right. And really, this show is also about training ourselves and learning how to assess and evaluate certain situations on what to get involved in, guys. So whistleblowing on multiple levels, it can be done on multiple levels, I guess I should say. It can be to the very extreme, and it can be it can be very minor as far as saying something on the street.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think of this is a lot of us probably have heard this story, and if you haven't, there's an amazing documentary on Netflix on this guy. But Mark, I don't know. Do you remember the name Ed Snowden?
It doesn't ring a bell.
You're probably going to remember the story. So Ed Snowden worked for, I think he worked for the CIA.
Yeah, I know where you're going now.
Yeah. So Ed worked for the CIA, and basically, excuse me if it wasn't CIA, some kind of national security. But he was involved in basically the public video surveillance.
Yeah.
And all the hoax that hoax or not, I guess he proved it wasn't a hoax, but
they're listening now.
Yeah, they probably are. My Apple laptop is facing me. They're probably watching me. So all that stuff came out about how the government was tapping in, listening, anything and everything, and they would sift through all that stuff to obviously prevent any mass murders or terrorist attacks, etc.
Like facial recognition, everything is involved. Yeah.
Yeah, a very fascinating tool, and positive in a good way. This could probably be a topic you could probably argue both sides, but Ed basically saw the invasion of privacy amongst that, and was a huge proponent against fighting this, and just said, hey, this is unacceptable. But basically, he leaked this classified info it was from the national security. When we worked for the CIA, so it was the CIA, he disclosed numerous global surveillance programs, many run by the NSA. But it was basically the protection rights. Basically, from that, protection rights were put into place to protect, American citizens. And now Ed, he's one of the most wanted fugitives out there. He's living in some other country right now because he knows. The second he steps back in America, actually, whatever country he's living in, they put on a protection right for him in that country, basically saying, "Hey, America, yeah, this guy's ours now," because he's a citizen, I believe, there.
Which I think brings up a great topic. So. You saw somebody who saw something that was obviously completely inappropriate,
right?
And knew was going to change his entire life. And I don't know if Ed has a family or not, but I would assume it's affected all of them in some way or not.
Sure, no doubt.
Even distant cousins are being affected by this, obviously.
Yeah.
But that's a great avenue into where I think people understand this is a guy with a really good moral compass,
right?
Really good moral compass. And I think as globally, we've lost our ethical and moral compasses.
Yeah, I would agree.
We're willing to live in these bubbles and these shadows. And, people on this show, the one thing that we will not veer away from is our faith. And, Christians, in my opinion, in this world, have become a demographic that is being attacked on a daily basis.
Easy.
On a daily basis. And just like Ed, who stepped way out of a comfort zone onto a whole nother level of a platform that he knew was going to be ridiculed. He knew was going to affect him in ways that he probably didn't want.
Right. Oh, yeah.
But he knew this is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. And I think as Christians, we are called to do the same thing, and that is to live without fear, because here's a man who made a decision without fear.
Right.
And that is, to me, is really what whistleblowing is about. If it's something that is, whether it's illegal or unethical, and I think unethical is just as bad, if not worse, than illegal in my mind, because now you're talking about a person's lifestyle and their word,
right?
Which is a whole nother topic. But that man stepped out, and as Christians, God calls us all to do the same thing too. He's going to say, "Look, I know you're going to be persecuted.
Yeah.
You may be laughed at. You may be scoffed at. You may be put on Twitter and Instagram or whatever, and just be blown up, and people may hate you forever. But guess what? You're going to do so much good with this."
Yeah.
And he did. He did because we as individuals, we deserve our privacy.
Yep. Yeah, we're not protected.
He stepped up and he went out there and did what he was supposed to do. just like we are called to do.
Yeah, no, Mark,
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought up the faith side. I kind of want to stay on that a little bit longer because I think it is very, very relevant to this topic.
I totally believe it is.
Probably reiterating everything you just said there. But being vocal as Christians is, like Mark said, is what we're called to do, and not conforming. I mean, if you think about it, guys, even touching back a little bit on Visionary Meals and how I shared the basically implementing how I was going to implement Christ into the business. Because I remember when I shared a couple weeks ago, guys, when I first came out about that, as far as like, hey, we're going to basically represent Christ with this company. I got a lot of kickback from people.
Oh, for sure.
A ton of people about the cross and the logo, and stuff like that. So, I think as Christians, we are going to get ridicule, and it's important to stand our ground and to be firm and not conform. Like you were saying, Mark, I know I just kind of repeated a lot of what you just said, but I just think it's such an important thing that we let that sink in.
It's sad. It is sad to an extent, and unfortunately, I'm going to say it. I understand. Right. A lot of Christians don't step on their platform because either A, they lack confidence.
Yeah.
B, they lack the education and what they feel they should. But worst of all is C, they lack the faith that God's going to give them both those things to do it.
Right.
So that's what we do. We go somewhere and we say, this may not be accepted. I don't want to offend anybody. We've become this world of very soft touch.
Yeah.
And everybody's PC. But there are moments and times where, believe me, trust me, I'm all about you catch more flies with honey. You know what I mean? I'm all about it. But there are times where you got to bring the vinegar.
For sure. No doubt.
People need wake-up calls.
I agree.
And there are times, too, where you got to step out. You got to step out and say, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this, and then after that, I'm going to reap the repercussions from it, which means I got to live it.
Right.
Because I've just made myself a target.
I love it.
And it's no different than the CIA. It's no different than this latest whistleblower. That person has said, I'm going to accept the repercussions that come from this, and I'm going to live to this standard.
Yeah.
But we as Christians are the same way. We all should be whistleblowers. I raise my children to be whistleblowers, and not in a negative way, in a positive way, because that's the platform. But I do that knowing that I'm challenging my children and myself to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
For sure.
Not saying that makes us better than anybody.
Yeah.
It creates more of a weight on our shoulders, but I say that with the faith that God will handle that weight.
Yeah.
But that's what we need to do. We all should be whistleblowers.
Well said. I love it. No, and guys, even for Christians, protection rights are put in. It's
yeah, absolutely.
His name's Christ.
And the protection rights from there are even better than what we have now. So
yeah. So no, that's a huge topic that I think we all stray away from. And we're all guilty of it, I think, and we all can be better on it.
And I think too, it's good to recognize that initially some people might react negatively. So if you're that person, you say, "Hey, man, I've done this," and then it just turned out all bad. Initially, you're probably going to get a negative reaction.
No doubt.
But that's not what you're doing. What you're doing is you're planting seeds. You're not the one that's going to plant it, harvest it, do all that stuff. Your job is to plant the seed. And maybe somebody 10, 15, maybe even just a couple weeks later might reap the benefits of your actions. Right. Like these whistleblowers from a political standpoint, we all reap the benefits from this.
Correct.
Because honestly, I mean, obviously, our politicians are the face of our nation, and therefore they unfortunately represent us, just based upon a popular vote.
Right.
So it could be someone you don't want representing you, which that's okay. But you have to remember that we are all reaping the benefits of all of our actions.
Right.
So you may initially reap the negative one, but you also may reap the positive side of someone else's seed.
Yeah.
So you just stay consistent, good things happen.
I like it. No, that's good. I think that's some really good points on whistleblower, guys. But I also think we've talked about being a whistleblower and the positive that can come from that, and some of the negatives. But with that being said, if you yourself can be a whistleblower, that means the individuals that you surround yourself with can be whistleblowers. So I think we can kind of twist the whole topic here, and I think it can also come down to if you yourself can be a whistleblower, that means the guy or girl sitting next to you can be a whistleblower. You got to be careful who you can trust.
which I think is extremely important, especially as we talk to our business owners.
Yes. There's a ton of things that
Your foundation of any business should be built on trust.
everything.
Yeah.
That's everything. And you know, at the timing, I think business is all about timing. I mean, timing of who you let in, when you let them in, when you release what, how you release it. It's all timing. So, for example, guys, in business, you know, timing of a public announcement of either, you know, on a new company, new products, and, you know, and who do you choose to share this stuff with and why? Because if you're not careful on who you thought you could trust and you share a certain release date or share the company, why you don't share it publicly is, you know, your competitors can jump right on board and know you're coming, and be prepared when you are coming. But those individuals that you thought you could trust and maybe you can't trust, you know, they could share some groundbreaking stuff with big or small, whatever it might be within your company.
Well, and going back to the definition of whistleblowing as something unethical, there may be businesses, I shouldn't say there are businesses who are very ethically ran businesses.
Yes.
But the act of business itself is very unethical.
That's
very
so true.
unethical.
That's a good point.
So even though you may hold your business and your employees or your partners to an ethical standard, you have to understand that the art of business and the action of business in itself is not about ethics. It's all about getting ahead.
Right.
And so you take advantage of every opportunity you can.
And doing whatever it takes.
And yeah, so you do have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Because if you Josh knows me very well, and the people that listen to this that know me, I run in a very, very small circle.
Yep.
Because it is a circle of trust.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people get to the point where their circle gets so large, it's out of control.
Yes.
And I think we have a generation of individuals who live their life on a social media circle.
Correct.
And then unfortunately they have to, once again, they reap the results of their actions because of that.
Yeah.
We're seeing it right now, you know, in a large platform of the NBA. You put a few things out on social media, it all gets misconstrued. I'm here to tell you folks, you can't read sarcasm and type. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can't read intention and type.
No.
So when you put that stuff out there, then it all gets twisted and it's turned, and it doesn't matter what you do. Now you're in defense mode. No one believes you.
Yeah.
You know, but business is very same way with that too. You do have to be very careful in who you trust.
Well, along with your circles getting too big, or again, even if they are small and minute, I mean, by not knowing that you can trust someone fully, that also comes with rumors being spread and things being twisted. And, you know, on the big spectrum of it, of your circle being really big, you know, you tell one person, they tell the next, you know, 30 people down the line, it's a completely different story.
Absolutely.
Now you got rumors out there, something that you didn't want to get out past maybe one or two people. So whistleblowing, it can be your worst enemy too if you're not careful. And I think that aside from the business, that also happens, you know, in life, because obviously anything in life can be used against you and twisted in any way, shape, and form. But gossiping, you know, we all, I don't mean this to be like a sound like a little girl's, you know, gossip circle, but we all at times find ourselves sharing information, you know, maybe about an individual that is not present at that time. And that's obviously considered gossiping, whether it's good or bad. But I think with gossiping, that's a very relevant area that you have to be very, very careful in, because if you're sharing, you know, information about someone in a positive, negative, whatever it might be way, whoever you might be sharing that with, guys, could be you know, close knit to whoever you're sharing that information about, and they go spit it back to them in a positive or negative way, however they wanted to interpret it.
Correct.
However they wanted to interpret it. You could have been sharing the best thing about that person, but you could have said one thing a little funny that they're like, "Oh, I'm going to use that against you," and go tell Joe and Sally of everything you were just saying about them, guys. That's the dangers of a whistleblower and who you can and can't trust.
Well, and I also think it's important to understand this too, as we talk about this, from whether it's a political standpoint or a personal standpoint or business standpoint, it doesn't matter. Whistleblowing does not create or automatically mean truth.
Right.
You know, so we can talk about all this stuff and everything, you know, especially right now, it's all in the news media, that it's factual.
Yes.
So if you're a person on the other side of that receiving end, as currently right now, the entire population of the world, we're all on the receiving end of information that's coming out from, you know, news outlets
Everywhere.
But it is very important that you do your own homework.
Yes.
Because you can look on CNN, Fox, MSNBC, all these other different outlets, and you're getting a different story each place.
Right.
Because what are they all trying to do? They're all trying to manipulate the mind into believing what they want you to believe.
Right.
Because like we said, business is not ethical, neither is politics.
Right.
Okay. So in your personal life, business life, professional life, whatever it may be, just because you hear it, your snap reaction should not be, oh, this is true.
Right.
You got to do some of your own investigatory work. I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, yeah, we're going to touch base on what pop culture is saying about whistleblowing right now, but it's the act of whistleblowing that's occurring far greater and more often than people actually realize.
Yeah.
And I think just so many times we just either accept it fully, or we're the people that just swallows it and doesn't do anything with it. And so once again, both actions are negative.
Right.
And that's not what we're here to do. Deliberately Linked, I mean, we want your actions in life to be positive reactions. Sometimes a positive reaction gets the negative result,
Yeah.
but that negative result is not yours to carry because you were part of the positive reaction. But even when you hear it, don't let someone else's negative become your negative.
For sure.
Do your own research.
It's super easy, guys. I see it every day in my field. So I right now do the deliveries for Visionary Meals. So I take all the meals to all the fridges, and
which is like a full-time job in itself.
Yeah, it definitely consumes two days out of my week. But like Mark was saying, I mean, it's oftentimes, I pride myself, I guess, and I mean this in a humble way, about creating relationships.
Yes.
And, of individuals, whether it's at a location or whatever it might be. I love the networking side of the business that I do. But so I create really, really good relationships in all my locations. So it's very common for me to walk in that place of business and just, having a conversation with ex-employee, and they're getting really, really comfortable in that conversation, and next thing they know, they're talking smack about their boss or this and that, and now I'm put in a situation of like, okay, hear them out, but be very, very careful what you say, because Josh, I guess I'm their customer, or no, they're my customer, I guess. So they could easily, if that got fed back to them and of things that I said, and that person wanted to go whistleblow, even if they meant it, and
even just being a listener,
right,
can be a negative.
It can put you in a very, very bad situation. So, we talked about preparing yourselves on what to recognize. That is a prime example of, guys, especially in the workforce. The best thing that you can do sometimes is just listen and shut up.
And I even think in a private world, I mean, I think anybody listening to this says no, they've been in a circle where, two individuals who maybe they all run in the same circle, and they're having a dispute, and one's talking about the other one, and someone else overhears it and says, everybody that was in the circle, even though you weren't saying anything,
right,
you're guilty by that association.
Guilty by association.
You know what I mean? So you have to be careful. You have to be prepared. And I'm telling you, I'm the first one that'll tell you, I don't worry so much about what I say, because in most of all cases, if I say it,
you mean it.
Whether you're there or not, I'll say it again to your face.
For sure.
So I'm not calling people to be PC. I'm not calling anybody to be PC. But what I always tell myself, and I tell my kids, you're allowed to have an opinion. Just be respectful.
Yeah, no doubt.
So if someone comes up and says, well, I heard you said this. Well, I did say that, and this is exactly how I said it.
Back it up.
I don't mean it as I dislike you, but a lot of people, they take such offense. But as I tell people too, people that I coach, I tell them all the time, other people's offense is not yours.
Yeah.
That's theirs.
That's true.
Sometimes people don't want to face the facts.
Right.
But that doesn't mean, once again, you're not helping them if you just don't face the facts with them.
For sure. Mark, this is why this is one of the best podcasts out there, because I think you just brought up an excellent point. Yeah. A topic that wasn't even in my notes, or probably not even yours. It just came out organically that, if you are going to whistleblow, don't be a whistleblower and be a coward about it.
No.
I get it. There are times where protection rights need to be put into place, and you need to.
Well, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any of
yourself.
these people get killed and their families get killed. And if you're telling yourself people don't do that anymore, you're crazy, because it does happen.
That stuff does happen. But Mark hit the nail on the head there, guys. With if you are going to whistleblow about something, and I hope if you're saying it, you better mean it. You better back it up too if it comes back to you.
Well, I'll tell you the danger I think we're in currently right now in this environment is I think some of these whistleblowers are paid informants.
That's true.
So the problem with that is don't find yourself in a position where you're the scapegoat.
Right.
Because that's what you'll do. They'll sell you down the river. I mean, so if you're going to be a whistleblower, per the definition of whistleblower, you got to remember it's your ethics. Okay. It's your pride. It's your word. It's your name. That should mean something to you. So you should be willing to stand up for it.
Got to.
You know, and that goes back to my faith. I fully believe in my faith, whether you believe in it or not.
Yep.
I fully believe in my faith. So when I talk about my faith, then I stand up for my faith because I know that I'll back it up every day of the week.
Heck yeah.
And that's how you should be.
Yeah.
So I don't care whether it's about faith. I don't care whether it's about something unethical or something illegal. If you see it, you call it out. And people want to say that I'm fake for saying that. I'm here to tell you, my wife and I called the cops on our own kid.
That's so true.
On our own kid. He was shocked.
Yeah.
He's like, none of my other friends' parents
Like,
are
I
doing
never
this.
thought you would do
I
that.
don't care.
Yeah.
This is how this goes down. This is the real world.
Get your act together. It's the same thing.
So, I mean, trust me, it's very difficult. But you know what you're not doing? You're not helping yourself. You're not helping an employee. You're not helping a friend. You're not helping your children by doing the cover up.
No. Nope.
I mean, that's not the lesson you want to teach them.
We won't move forward as a society.
No, well, as a society, we're already just treading water.
Barely.
I mean, we're sitting here treading water. We're repeating the same mistakes over and over, and that's because we're all ignoring the only answer that is.
Don't be that guy or girl.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. Hey.
I mean, we're all going to be challenged every day, but you know what? Embrace the challenge and get comfortable being uncomfortable. And if more people were that way, then conversations like this would be easier.
For sure.
You know, I just think people get so offended when someone expresses something to them that maybe they don't want to hear. But deep down, they know they needed to hear it.
Right.
So
Guys, and this goes back to delivery. You know, we talked about it a while ago. So we actually had someone message us not too long ago on a topic that we did a few weeks ago on how to go about a certain situation. So, hey, I'm just going to throw it out there. If you're an individual that is dealing maybe with a present situation that you're like, you know, I do need to blow about this.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to go about it. I'm not going to sit here and say Mark and I are experts on this, but reach out to us. Maybe we can offer some direction and advice as far as
and we're not,
how you would go about that.
Like we say on the show, we're not experts on anything.
No.
But I will tell you, there's probably a few scenarios that any of our listeners or viewers have been in that we probably haven't been in at some point in time. And I'm not going to give you all the right answers, but at least I can give you some heads up, and I know you the same way. So
For sure. Yeah, or just someone to talk to about it. I get it. Sometimes we feel like, man, who do I talk to about this? Mark and I are open books, guys. Mark and I are open books. But hey, Mark, we would not be here today if it wasn't for Tip Hat Media.
No. And we were just talking about Tip Hat Media. Lincoln Meikle, the guy is just straight fire.
Yeah.
And, you know, Tip Hat Media, the capabilities of what is inside this young man's head is insane. And I was just telling Josh, what impresses me the most about Lincoln is Lincoln has an eye for the details that you yourself as a consumer don't even know that you want until he does it. And you're like, where would that come from? Because that's exactly somewhere what I was thinking.
Right.
It starts with passion. He's got a passion for his product. He's got a passion for what he does, and he creates unbelievable product from that.
That's crazy.
So if you enjoy listening to our show, watching our show, it's all Tip Hat Media. He makes us sound great. He makes us look great. And if you're a business owner out there, whether it stretches from real estate to modeling, and you're looking for a visionary type guy who can take your product to a whole nother level, this is your guy. From video to pictures to drone work to websites to all the computer work that goes with it, the editing, the producing. Tip Hat Media is an all-in-one. And like I said, he's an ultimate professional. And he does amazing work. So yeah, we're very fortunate to work with him.
There's no one else I would use.
No,
I mean, no one else I would use. He's the
anything
best.
from here on out would be a major step backwards.
Yeah, we talk about all the time how spoiled we are.
Very spoiled. Yeah. So Lincoln, we know you're listening to this. Keep the head small, buddy, but you're amazing.
Yeah, don't get a big head.
Yeah.
I'll smack you.
No, it was a great topic. I hope people. We didn't tell anybody anything today they don't already know.
Right.
But what I hope that you heard today is I hope you heard that I have the courage. And you know what? If all your friends leave you, you have these two guys. And I don't know if that's an upgrade or a downgrade, but at least you have us. Just do the right thing. Do the right thing. Self-educate. Be bold.
Yeah.
You know?
Got to.
There's too much what ifs. Don't be a what if guy. Don't be a what if girl. Yeah.
Don't live in fear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff, guys.
Yeah.
Well, hey, guys, we do appreciate you guys tuning in with Deliberately Linked wherever you might be in your life right now. So, hey, we appreciate you. If you are not following us on social media, we are on Instagram and Twitter. Check us out. Give us a follow. We are on Facebook as well. Thank you, Mark. YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and iTunes, guys. Whatever platform you choose to listen on, shoot us a subscribe. And also, guys, new thing, hit us on a review or a rate, guys. Throw something in the comments. Give us that 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars, whatever you think we deserve.
Criticize us.
Criticize
I like
us.
to improve.
We are open to everything. If you have any inquiries.
And always reach out.
Yes.
Reach out.
Yep.
We want this to be an interactive platform.
Yes. And I had 2 questions in about the past month on sponsorship inquiries, guys. Those can either be sent through our Instagram, or those can be emailed to us at deliberatelylinked@gmail.com.
Yes.
So,
exciting stuff.
exciting stuff, guys. Hey, we appreciate you guys. You guys all have a blessed week and blessed day. And with that being said, Deliberately Linked signing out.
See you next time.